Welcome to Around San Diego. So glad to have you with me. I'm CBS 8's Jenny Day. I'll get you caught up on our top stories and look ahead in just 30 minutes. We do begin, though, at the international level. President Biden delivered a rare primetime address right from the Oval Office to explain the U.S. response to the conflict between Israel and Hamas. As Tina Kraus reports from Tel Aviv, there are signs the war is on the verge of intensifying.
Israel's defense minister told troops gathered at the Gaza border they will soon see Hamas territory from the inside, signaling a ground invasion could come soon. In a primetime address to the nation, President Biden reaffirmed his support.
We must make sure that they have what they need to protect their people today and always.
The Israeli military has updated the number of hostages being held by Hamas to more than 200. Devastated family members are calling for their immediate release.
Stop now and release all children, babies, elderly, women that are not part of this war.
With no progress on that front, Israel continues its blistering air attacks on Gaza, catching Palestinian civilians in the crossfire while it retaliates for the October 7th terror attacks.
We can't ignore the humanity of innocent Palestinians who only want to live in peace and have an opportunity.
Israel has agreed to allow humanitarian aid into Gaza to relieve the suffering of civilians, while Hamas continues to fire rockets across the border. Here in Tel Aviv, we've been hearing sirens sounding the alarm. This resident showed us debris he says came from a rocket intercepted by Israel's Iron Dome defense system. He says it's up to Hamas to end this war.
When we put down our weapons, they attack us. When they put down, if they put down their weapons, there will be peace.
Israel had originally said it would allow no aid into Gaza until Hamas releases the hostages. But with more than 1 million Palestinians displaced from their homes, the first delivery of food, water, and medicine could begin arriving tomorrow.
This idea that someone can enter your home and murder your children and decapitate your babies, it's
almost too much.
Yeah, no doubt about it. A San Diego family who is now living in Israel says that the terror of leaving home is constant. They live in central Israel, where they once walked the streets and knocked on neighbors' doors without fear. Now they worry even leaving the house. CBS 8's Abby Black spoke with a mother from their bomb shelter, where they've stocked up on supplies for the next 2 weeks.
In July, the Siegel family moved from San Diego to their home country of Israel. Just moments before our virtual interview, the sirens went off in their Israeli neighborhood. We spoke to the mother from her bomb shelter. The sound of sirens rattles Marav Siegel.
So we're in and out of this bomb shelter room that I'm in right now constantly.
Siegel shows us the bomb shelter where her 11-year-old son and 15-year-old daughter and dog hide inside their home in Nes Ziona in central Israel.
I mean, we just had sirens. People are texting me. I'm texting them. We're checking on each other.
One of the people checking in is her husband, Darren, who's still living in San Diego for work.
It is difficult, and I communicate regularly with them, and I'm constantly waking up in the middle of the night to look at my phone.
But the fear is constant. Their son has been sleeping in the bomb shelter.
I mean, the stories are really horrific. They're really difficult to hear.
Their sense of security has been stripped in a country where she says they often knock on each other's doors without fear.
You know, I was telling Darren the other day, I can't sleep at night because I think about these children that are held hostage from their families, and who knows, you know, the horrors that they're experiencing there.
Despite living in this terror, the family has agreed to stay in Israel.
We've definitely discussed it, but I have really strong ties to this country. My father's Israeli. I've spent a lot of time here. Being Jewish, this is you know, our homeland, and we really feel like we want to stay here.
I will get there as soon as I can, regardless of the situation. You know, when it's safe enough to travel.
Often isolated, the Siegels pull strength from their family and neighbors.
I think getting through each day is just sort of remembering that we're a family, we're together. Israelis are really strong, people are really supportive.
Abby Black, CBS 8.
Now, we are also hearing from a Holocaust survivor on the war in the Middle East. That's me there. I was able to speak with him myself. Just incredible. 95-year-old Ben Midler was in and out of concentration camps from when he was 15 to 17 years old. He is the only surviving member of his entire family. He was targeted because of his faith. Now, even the violence that he himself endured, he says, doesn't compare. He has described Hamas as barbaric.
It's hard. These Jewish people get killed for nothing. They went and they cut off the heads of children. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, so his advice is to speak up against hate, choose love, choose happiness, and he says live in harmony. May we do so. Well, many people experiencing homelessness in the city of San Diego say they are having a difficult time finding shelter space. It now appears the reason is beds are being saved for people who are forced out of encampments. During a recent meeting, the San Diego Housing Commission said 4 out of 5 people seeking shelter beds are turned away. This is happening at places like the safe sleeping site at 20th and B and the temporary shelter there at Golden Hall.
Basically what the city has been doing and asked our coordinated intake team to do is over attrition, so as people leave, to make that bed available to PD direct placement up to 50 beds.
So the city's next safe sleeping site in Balboa Park will have 400 beds, but it's unclear if they will all go to people who want shelter or if some will be saved for police referrals. Well, a recent grand jury report found that road repairs around San Diego are suffering from a lack of funding. The grand jury recommends the city pass a law that would commit San Diego to a minimum amount of annual funding for road repairs. But the city council doesn't want to commit to that at this point. Mayor Todd Gloria's budget for this year included $140 million for repairs, and it seems that would be the minimum needed moving forward. To learn more about the report, go to CBS8.com. Well, the city of San Diego says that everyone now has one of those little green kitchen pails. You are supposed to use them to separate your recycle and your food scraps. Instead, a lot of people are skipping it, telling us it's just gross. CBS 8's Anna Laurel has more from the Miramar landfill and greenery.
This is where the city brings the things it picks up from those 213,000 green bins that are sitting at everyone's house now. But we've heard from people who say they don't want to do it. It'll stink, it'll attract bugs. But we found a family that found a system that works for them. So we wanted to show you how it works.
This morning I made an omelet. You can see there's eggshells in there.
Kevin Gunning's family has been recycling their food scraps and paper products for years.
Salad for lunch, and it goes straight into here.
They don't use their city-issued kitchen pail, but this cute blue one. They line it with plastic.
Don't go buy new stuff. Just take something that fits in it.
This is an old bread bag. Now, the plastic absolutely cannot go in the green bin, but once the pail gets full, they dump the food into the green bin outside and throw the plastic bag away. The city picks up the green bins every week along with weekly trash pickup. It says to take it to the curb no matter how full. Do they get flies or other pests?
If you don't put food in your green bin, where's it going to go? In the black bin. So you're going to have flies either way.
It is really just a behavior shift.
Absolutely it is, because ordinarily, you know, here's the stove. I used to make omelets, crack the eggs open, and toss the shells right in the trash. So now, instead, I bring this guy over here, and I set it right here, and I toss the shells in there.
A lot of people we've heard from say they worry about stinky raw chicken decomposing in a pail right there in the kitchen, or cheese turning green in the pail under the sink. Kevin and his wife say it doesn't stink because the pails have a lid like a trash can, and you can always put your bags or food scraps in the fridge or freezer, or just throw it out. Derek Lamb is a recycling specialist with the city of San Diego.
Bundle that paper bag closed. And now you have a nice enclosed bundle that you can drop directly into the green bin.
Organic material like food, paper, and yard waste make up more than half of everything in California landfills.
When food scraps and landscaping trimmings and things like that sit in a landfill, is they'll actually start creating the greenhouse gas methane.
The quickest way to reduce methane? To compost our organic waste instead of landfilling it. Is it more work? Maybe, but Kevin says it's worth it.
There's a lot of people in the city of San Diego, right? So even if 25% of people were doing this, it would make a huge impact on, you know, everything, again, that's going in the landfill.
Starting January 1st, 2024, the city can fine you if you do not separate your recyclables, those organic green waste materials, and your trash. Fines can be $50 to $100, but the city hopes that people do it voluntarily. Out here at the landfill and greenery, I'm Anna Laurel, CBS 8.
Anna, we appreciate you. Thanks. Well, meantime, students in Mexico will soon be able to seek a higher education in the U.S. and spend less money. Governor Newsom recently signed Assembly Bill 91, which offers in-state tuition prices at local community colleges for low-income students who live at least 45 miles south of the border. The price difference is significant. For example, at Southwestern College in Chula Vista, students in California pay around $1,400 a year for tuition. Out-of-state, or in this case, out-of-country students pay closer to $6,000. It's really a first-of-its-kind initiative for our binational region.
These are truly folks who are contributing to our economy, who are part of the fabric of life here in the San Diego County region and Imperial County region. These are our students. They just happen to live 10 miles, 20 miles south of us versus 10, 20 miles north of us.
Yeah, so the last student survey done in 2018 showed 800 Southwestern College students were living in Tijuana. In the years since, the number of students has likely increased. The new state law will also help schools gather more accurate data on binational students. The 5-year pilot program begins on January 1st. Well, the federal government will no longer be allowed to separate migrant families if a federal court approves of a new settlement. The deal was reached between the Biden administration and the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, on Monday. It forbids any families from being separated for an 8-year period, except in limited circumstances. For example, when someone has committed a serious felony. The settlement also sets up support for families who were previously separated but does not provide monetary compensation. This comes after border officials separated at least 2,800 children from their parents under former President Donald Trump's zero-tolerance immigration policy. Well, after nearly a year of the sale of flavored tobacco being illegal, it is still being sold in several stores around San Diego. But the city attorney says no more. According to City Attorney Mara Elliott, retailers targeting young children and selling flavored tobacco will face lawsuits and legal action. The San Diegans versus Big Tobacco Coalition is also calling on more enforcement to be included in the city ordinance so that these sales stop, especially to protect kids in our community.
Flavored tobacco products are designed to appeal to children to addict them to the nicotine. Big Tobacco knows this, and that's why they continue.
Yeah, so according to the latest data from the National Youth Tobacco Survey, more than 2.5 million school students in the U.S. use e-cigarettes, and 85% admit that they use flavored tobacco. Well, a tax deadline for nearly all Californians has now been extended by 1 month. Earlier this year, the IRS changed the deadline from April to October for most Californians to submit their 2022 returns and pay any taxes due. That was because of a winter filled with severe storms. So now the IRS is delaying the deadline again, giving people a little more time. That new deadline is Thursday, November 16th. And the California Franchise Tax Board encourages taxpayers to file state returns electronically for free using their CalFile program. For federal taxes, you can file online by phone or through the app IRS To Go. Well, a mysterious death in the Anza Borrego Desert is leading to a lot of unanswered questions about a woman who is still missing. The remains of a former Navy SEAL, John Fitzpatrick, were found last month in the desert. As CBS 8's David Godfredson reports, the woman is a Chinese national who had flown to this country to meet up with Fitzpatrick.
52-year-old John Fitzpatrick and 47-year-old Fang Jin first met on social media, and soon they wanted to meet in person. Jin lived in China, and she promised her family she would keep in touch after flying to Los Angeles on July 14th and eventually meeting up with Fitzpatrick in Palm Springs on July 15th. On July 16th, the couple was seen on surveillance video purchasing toiletries at the Marine Corps Exchange on base at the Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center in 29 Palms. Fitzpatrick was a former Navy SEAL, honorably discharged in 2010, who lived at the Roadrunner mobile home park in nearby Morongo Valley. The pair took a hiking trip in the desert, and Jin was staying at the mobile home with Fitzpatrick. These are photos of Jin cleaning up inside the mobile home, given to CBS 8 by a friend of Fitzpatrick. Jin continued to send photos to her family in China until the messages suddenly stopped. The last video she sent to her family was this one, shot at night on July 22nd on Adobe Road just miles from the Marine base in 29 Palms. Relatives reported Jin missing on July 26th, and a friend reported Fitzpatrick missing 4 days later on July 30th. San Bernardino sheriffs put out missing persons flyers on both of them. And on August 1st, investigators served this search warrant on Fitzpatrick's mobile home looking for evidence. They found suitcases belonging to Jin, a straw hat, and Jin's white purse with her belongings inside. Officers also smelled something disturbing inside the mobile home, the odor of decomposition. For the next month and a half, the couple remained missing until Fitzpatrick's Toyota pickup truck was located in the Anza Borrego Desert in the Harper Flats area. Later, a hiker found his skeletal remains in the Harper Canyon area on September 17th. We tiled out the photos of the bones because they're somewhat gruesome. Fitzpatrick's autopsy remains sealed, and San Diego Sheriff has not released the cause of death. The big question now is, where is Fang Jin? According to the San Bernardino County Sheriff, Fang Jin was last heard from on July 22nd. Her cell phone has not been found, and, quote, "We did not receive any phone pings from Jin's phone." Fitzpatrick's truck was found in Harper Flats. His remains were found in Harper Canyon. San Diego Sheriff's Department is not releasing any details about his death. Now, if you have any information about the whereabouts of Fang Jin, contact the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department because the missing person case is in their jurisdiction. David Gottfredson, CBS 8.
David, thank you for that update. So this one, a well-known forensic artist, is trying to help with a San Diego cold case from 28 years ago. Joe Mullins uses skeletal remains to make 3D sculptures that can help identify people who have never been named. So while visiting a conference in San Diego, he built a sculpture of a possible teenage boy who was found floating in the Tijuana River in Imperial Beach back in 1995.
We want somebody to see this finished facial approximation and say, I think I know who that is. Now that family will now have answers that they haven't had for, since 1995.
Yeah, Mullins was in town to display his sculptures at the International Association of Police Chiefs annual conference, which was held at the San Diego Convention Center. Well, if your child doesn't know cursive, starting next year, they will have to learn. Governor Gavin Newsom just signed a bill making cursive a requirement in elementary schools. CBS 8's Shannon Handy has details, including insight from the Assemblywoman who wrote the bill.
Some teachers teach cursive, but it hasn't been a requirement since 2010. This bill changes that starting in the first grade.
Cursive is an art form a lot of kids, including my 6-year-old, know nothing about.
What does that say?
A. But that will soon change thanks to Governor Newsom, who just signed a bill that will require cursive instruction in 1st through 6th grades.
Tell me why you think cursive is important. I want to see students all have the same access to our history. Really, it's our historical documents.
Assemblywoman and former educator Sharon Quirk Silva wrote the bill after doing some family research.
It came out of myself going on to 23andMe not too long ago and looking up some family records and realizing many of them were written in cursive.
At Nichols Elementary in Oceanside,
the brothers raced across the bridge.
Cursive is already a part of the curriculum for these 5th graders. It's a choice teacher Christine Fuentes made after realizing cursive was becoming a lost art.
specifically the Constitution. One of the students said, "Hey, this is alien," and so I was like, "Oh, absolutely not." My main focus and goal was to create a connection for them to just learn certain letters. I have a classroom economy, and so we sign contracts, and so they're also practicing signing their name.
Aside from being a practical tool, proponents say Cursive is also great for learning.
There's a lot of benefit to having Cursive back in our instructional practices because it activates a portion of the brain that doesn't occur in print and or typing. It actually makes writing fluency easier for many children.
Vicki Grablin is the executive director of curriculum instruction for Oceanside Unified. She says because Cursive is standard at the district, she doesn't anticipate many challenges starting in January when the Cursive requirement takes effect, adding if there is a learning curve, the district is ready for it.
We have training opportunities for our teachers also with it built directly into the curricula. There is opportunity in their teachers' manuals to gather that information.
It's just an ongoing overview of Cursive, and the goal being that by the time they leave 6th grade, that they'll at least be able to read it and hopefully write it as well.
Shanna Handy, CBS 8.
Yeah, mine's kind of a combo. Shannon, thank you so much. Well, a man is in custody after prosecutors say he scammed a 65-year-old woman out of more than $200,000. District Attorney Summer Steffen says Zhai Zhao targeted the woman with a fake tech support ad. Steffen says he then posed as Chase Bank and told the woman they detected fraud. She was instructed to withdraw her money and hand it off to their carriers. This week, we heard from Steffen, who highlighted the recently formed Elder Justice Task Force. It aims to prevent crimes like this from happening to others.
If we can save one elderly person from the turmoil, the pain, the suffering of losing their livelihood, we want to do it today.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So this man here faces more than 2 years in prison if convicted. Well, people living in a La Jolla condo building forced to vacate their homes after months of deteriorating conditions following the discovery of a sinkhole, and neighbors say that the city is responsible. CBS 8's Brian White is working for you to find out what went wrong and what's being done to fix that problem.
It all started with a sinkhole next to this building on Gilman Drive, and it got progressively worse and more unsafe until now. Tenants had to vacate the building.
You know, at this point, we're in the hotel. There still no answers as to what we're going to do with all of our stuff.
Kyle Vors, tenant at La Jolla Terrace condos, in limbo now with his wife living at a hotel after having hours to clear out of this building.
All the furniture closed, just all of it's just sitting there. The doors won't lock. They won't really close fully. All the sliding doors are not even close to close. The building's tilted so much.
This 8-unit building was red tagged 2 weeks ago, deemed unsafe by city engineers. But Vors says too little too late. He's been sounding the alarm for months.
They told us the building's not moving, they're surveying it, and everything's safe, which at this point in time, it was obviously moving. Sidewalks, were still falling in.
The initial sinkhole was discovered in March, and city crews determined that a section of storm drain pipe had collapsed, so they deployed an emergency contractor to begin shoring up the site.
Getting all the vibrations in the house, they're doing the boring machines, within like a foot of the balcony, same with the pile drivers, and that's when the whole house is shaking the entire time.
Each month that passed, the situation got worse. Then Tropical Storm Hillary hit, opening another sinkhole and damaging the construction site.
There were significant cracks on the walls, and then it just got worse and worse and worse to where the actual entire foundation of the building was cracked all the way across.
At that point, Kyle had had enough and demanded city engineers come out again.
I mean, it's absolutely pathetic, I think. It was understandable for the first, maybe a few weeks. It's a construction project, but 2 months down the line, the excuse is no longer valid.
Walking around the building, I found these cracks showing on the exterior walls. I reached out to the city, and a spokesperson told me, quote, city contractors are still working to determine the cause, damage, repairs, and timeline related to the water main break. And they're working diligently to assess the situation and provide a solution as quickly as possible.
It's incredibly disappointing, and I think that should be known, and I think the city should take responsibility for it.
In La Jolla, working for you, Brian White, CBS 8.
Brian, thanks. And really, don't forget, here at CBS 8, we are always working for you. If you have any issues you'd like us to look into, just email workingforyou@cbs8.com. Well, the National City Police Department hosted its first ever Pumpkins with the Police event. 40 third grade students from a local elementary school were invited to get in the Halloween spirit. Each student got to pick out a pumpkin and decorate it, plus learn about pumpkin agriculture and the origin of Halloween. The event was inspired by Officer Monique Hawk, who has been carving pumpkins since she was 8 years old and wanted to share her love for it with the kids.
I think that they're just about as excited as I am when I go to the pumpkin patch and pick out the pumpkin. I think it's really cool to learn where the pumpkins come from, so you get that educational side of it. And then it really brings out the creativity from the kids as well.
So get this, Officer Hawk is known on a national level for her pumpkin carving. She actually won a season of Halloween Wars on the Food Network. Pretty cool. In honor of Filipino American History Month, Southwestern College raised the Filipino flag on its Chula Vista campus. The college says by raising this flag, it shows its unwavering support and solidarity with all members of our community, as well as to show its commitment to having an inclusive environment.
Representation is important, and to have an equitable place of learning, everyone needs to feel a sense of belonging and a sense of unity and a sense of pride.
Yeah, so in honor of Filipino American History Month, we are highlighting 2 local Filipino dancers in the San Diego community. CBS 8's Ariana Cohen stopped by Culture Shock Dance Studio in Old Town to introduce us to them and share their story.
Yes, I talked to Love and Sean, who show me how their passion for dance began.
One thing Sean, Mamihe, and Love Redfern share in common is their love for dance. Both of them have their own unique styles when teaching at Culture Shock Dance Studio. Love's passion for dance started in high school.
As soon as I go into that room and the music hits and just everyone's face and their infectious energy, it's just such an invigorating feeling that's what fuels my passion.
Boom. Happy Halloween. Yes, we're gonna go here.
Sean auditioned for the Culture Shock dance troupe, which then led him to teach here.
It just makes me feel alive, to be honest. Like whenever I'm either teaching or just listening to music and just moving, just having that connection to the music. I don't know, I feel like that over all the years of just trying to find myself, I feel like that's the one thing that like really, defined who I was, is dance.
Another thing they share in common, they are both Filipino. Love was born in the Philippines.
I love being Filipino. And I love that I'm seeing a lot more of people that look like us at the forefront, making a difference. And it's my DNA, it's who I am. And I think it drives into my perseverance, like everything that historically, what we've gone through as a people.
Sean's parents immigrated here from the Philippines. They are proud to represent their Filipino heritage.
But I think it's super important because, it just represents like how talented the Filipino culture is and what we can offer to, the world of art.
And they agree. When you're on the dance floor, it doesn't matter what your background is to be able to express yourself.
If you really love something and it makes you happy, try to make that, a big part of your life.
Happy Filipino American History Month.
Ariana Cohen, CBS 8.
Good stuff, Ariana. Thank you. Well, a new film about the history of surfing will be shown at the California Surf Museum. It's called Wade in the Water, but instead of Hawaii, it actually starts in Africa and focuses on Black surfers and their unique history and challenges in the sport. CBS 8's Sean Stiles has a preview.
When people think of surfing, they think of Hawaii, but a new film out, Wade in Water, looks at Black aquatic surfing history from Africa and how it plays out today in modern surfing history.
What is our history? What is our connection to surfing? And also, what is our connection to aquatic culture?
David Mesfin is the director of Wade in the Water and found that surfing history also goes back to Africa.
We review the overlooked history of Black surfing and aquatic culture from Africa to the Americas with the intention to really inspire the next generation of Black surfers.
Mesfin is a surfer who migrated from Ethiopia to Florida in 1988 and then came to California.
Had the opportunity to meet, a lot more Black surfers, such as the Black Surfers Collective. That was a group I was part of and I'm still part of, and I really wanted to tell their story.
The film shares with you the first known reports of surfing in Africa.
The first account of surfing was in 1640 in the coast of Ghana by a German explorer, Michael Hemerson, whereas, Captain Cook arrived in Hawaii in 1777.
It also takes the audience on a journey of what it took for the pioneers of Black surfing to be in the water so those that surf today could be in the lineup.
Really putting a spotlight on individuals that have been surfing in the coast of California, such as Nick Gabaldon, who, has been surfing in the 50s, passed away in 1952 in Malibu, and then works its way to Tony Corley, Black Surfers Collective, and the current day young, organizations that are out there teaching kids how to surf for free.
And the documentary doesn't shy away from the struggles Black surfers had just to be on the beach.
The Jim Crow era, what happened in Southern California specifically, the challenges such as Bruce's Beach, Ebony Beach Club, even in Manhattan Beach, there used to be an amazing facility that was built in the 40s.
No justice! No peace!
For Mesfin, the project came from the tragedy of George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement.
When you go out in the ocean, Mother Ocean has such an impact in our life, and I knew through the lens of the ocean and surfing and the community that I knew, there was a way I can heal, and I can heal my community.
That is what the film does, as well as looking at surfing from a completely different perspective while motivating the future of Black surfing.
The objective is to inspire the next generation of Black surfers. I wanted to end it with an ending that was more inspiring and uplifting, so we look into some of the younger surfers that are up and coming.
You can see Wade Into Water tomorrow night at the California Surf Museum in Oceanside. We'll have a link to the movie on our website. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Definitely inspiring, Sean. Thank you. Well, San Diego's 4 microclimates offer up not only very diverse and picturesque scenery, but also the chance to see a wide variety of thriving wildlife. Our chief meteorologist, Carlene Chavis, sailed along with San Diego Whale Watch in hopes of seeing one and to learn more about our marine life.
The Pacific Ocean isn't just a thing of beauty, it's a vital part of our county's ecosystem. And today we're going to go miles offshore to check out the marine life that call it home. Let's go whale watching.
Good morning to everyone. We're going to get started aboard for San Diego Whale Watch. Please get your tickets ready and let's go whale watching.
Well, you heard Oscar. It's time to load up the boat and get ready for an excursion on the privateer. And even though the company is called San Diego Whale Watch, the sights out on the water offer a bit of variety, including dolphins, sharks, sea turtles, and jellyfish, just to name a few, along with whale sightings.
This time of year, long-beak common dolphin, we could see that any day of the year. Right now during the fall, we could see humpback whales, fin whales, Bruda's whale, minke whales, and then we had a blue whale on Tuesday. So there's a lot going on during the fall. All right, guys, we're off the dock, headed out on your whale watching adventure.
Now that everyone is seated, it's time to head out. Our Captain Brian will take us miles from the harbor in Mission Bay as naturalist and Captain Ryan Jones narrates our journey along the way.
And all of that live bait attracts predators, especially birds looking to get an easy meal.
It didn't take long before we started seeing marine mammals like California sea lions as we departed, and birds along our hazy journey. Now it's time to head northwest and venture out on the open water. We had 1 to 2 foot swells and, as you can see, reduced visibility from a shallow marine layer. I got excited when I thought I spotted something in the water, but it was just a buoy. Ooh. Apparently, it's a common mistake, and they're rather abundant right now because it's spiny lobster season. But we're in good hands because Brian and Ryan know what to look for.
You can see everything is kind of just blue and ripply, but if you see like some white splash, something had to do that. So it could be dolphins, it could be just a bird diving into the water.
Thankfully, the fog started to lift. As visibility gradually improved, we spotted pelicans and shearwater birds before a brief encounter with a couple of long-beaked common dolphins.
We went 6 miles offshore where the water is over 16,000 feet deep in the middle of the La Jolla Canyon. Still searching for whales on our journey, we spotted the ocean sunfish.
This is a big one.
They're known for being the world's largest bony fish based on weight. Ryan also mentioned that they eat jellyfish.
We see lots of heart balloons after Valentine's Day.
Unfortunately, we found a few colorful helium-filled mylar balloons in the open water. With their bright colors and attached ribbons, they can be mistaken for jellies and ingested by the marine life like the ocean sunfish. The San Diego Whale Watch crew is doing their part to combat this pollutant. Well, you're probably curious if we saw a whale. Unfortunately, no. Each excursion is different, which is part of the fun. And did you know you can go whale watching any time of the year?
If you want to see gray whales, December to April. If you want to see blue whales, throughout the summertime, June is a great month for blue whales.
And sometimes you can experience a rare sighting, like a whale shark.
Super rare sighting in San Diego. Last one seen in San Diego is 2015, as far as I'm aware. And we saw one on Labor Day 2022. And that's when the ocean temperatures here in San Diego are at their height. So water was exceptionally warm, and that just brought up a tropical animal into our waters.
And even though we didn't see any sharks or whales on our adventure, this pod of bottlenose dolphins gave us a show on our way back to land.
There's one right next to us.
And you know what's really cool? We were the only whale watching crew out there on the water to see them that day. Now it's your turn to come out and see what you find. For CBS 8, I'm Chief Meteorologist Carlene Javis.
So cool to see. Thank you for sharing that with us. We live in such a great place. Okay, you ready for this one? Some say it is the most haunted house in America, and our Evan Narani spent the night there. So, did he have any ghostly encounters during his overnight stay at the Whaley House? Here's the update from Old Town.
I got to tell you guys, for being one of the most haunted places in America, haunted houses in America, the Whaley House did not disappoint. Showed us, some spirits along the way, and I want to show you actually some of the clips of what we saw while we were on our journey a little bit earlier on through the night. We're now in the upstairs area, in the theater area, but downstairs there's a courtroom, there's a general store. There's so much to see here. Take a look at what we saw.
At the top there are these swivels here. We always instruct our guests to take their forefingers and make sure that they are underneath those swivels. With their fingers being underneath the swivels, once they bring the swivels up, it will give the spirits full control at the end. Right about there, perfect. Now release your thumbs. Ladies, do you want to give this young man a hug? Ladies, oh, look at that. Look at how the rods, oh, and they're doing it right there. Okay. Yeah, they're giving you a chest hug.
Hello.
Look at that. Huh?
That was like the instant I took my thumbs off.
Absolutely. Can you focus in this area here? You can almost see the outline of a man wearing a vest. See the darker areas? There's the side of the vest. There's his arm. There's his head. Thomas, is that you?
So now that you've seen for yourself how haunted it can really be, you might want to get a tour of your own. We are in spooky season after all, of course. Month of October is a great time to come head over to the Whaley House. A very busy time for you guys though, right?
Definitely so.
So tell us about the options that are available. If people maybe don't want the paranoia side of things, the supernatural, what's the option they have?
Well, they can also come during the daytime from 10 to 4:30. We have the day self-guided tours, so you get a brief introduction. But once you're inside the museum, you can go at your own pace.
But then nightly, there's that option, right?
Yes. So in the evening, you have our evening guided tours, and those begin at 5 o'clock, and you actually have a guide that's taking you room by room, telling you about the history as well as ghostly legends.
That was our Evan Narani reporting. For more information on tours and tickets for the Whaley House, you can go to whaleyhousesandiego.com. Well, as always, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for staying informed. For CBS 8, I'm Jenny Day. Take good care.